So wonderful to see you back. It's Judy from Coffee, Cookies, and Books, and what we're going to do today is talk about the books that are coming in September. There are 5 release dates and a ton of really great books. So can't wait to share all those with you, and I hope you'll stick around. Before we get started, I'd love to ask you if you could like and subscribe to the video. I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and after 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to stop asking. I just want to reach that 1 milestone, and if you could help me out with it, I'd really love it. Okay, that's enough of that. Now let's get on with the video because I have a ton of releases. I'm not really sure how many in total that I have. Could be 35, 40, something like that. And yeah, we want to get on with this quickly. So the first date for releases that we have is September 2nd. So the first book we have for September 2nd is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. It is a fantasy romance, I believe. Let me just double check. Yes, it says romantic fantasy, epic fantasy. Doesn't say whether or not it's YA, but she's written a few, the Divine Rivals series, which I do believe I have. I have not read it, but I do have it. So this one says it's set in the world of the gods that was first introduced in Divine Rivals. And this is true love is more divine than any ruthless god. Born in the firelit domain of the underrealm, Matilda is the youngest goddess of her clan, blessed with humble messenger magic, but in a land where gods often steal power and alliances break as quickly as they are forged, Matilda must come of age sooner than most. She may be known to carry words and letters through the realms, but she holds a secret she must hide from even her dearest of allies to ensure her survival. And to complicate matters, there is a mortal boy who dreams of her, despite the fact they have never met in the waking world. So I'm going to leave it at that. The other character, I believe, is Vincent. And of course, we know that in these worlds, fate has a lot to do with how it will come out. Now, I don't know if this is a duology like her previous books. It doesn't indicate here whether or not it is, and it does not indicate if there is a cliffhanger, if it ends a cliffhanger. So it could be a standalone. I have no idea. So that is the first book. Our next book is A Land So Wide by Erin A. Craig, and this book is rated under Gaslamp Fantasy, Historical Fantasy, and Fantasy Anthologies. It says the town of Mistaken has a secret. Mistaken is a tiny settlement in the beautiful but brutal Canadian wilderness, blessed with rich natural resources and cursed with unspeakable dangers. Just outside the town's warding stones lurk the bright-eyed, insatiable monsters who have rained utter destruction down on nearby villages. Mistaken's founders made a deal to protect those who lived there, but at a steep cost. Anyone who spends a night within its borders belongs to it forever, until the day when the man Greer Mackenzie loves disappears beyond the warding stones, pursued by a terrifying creature. Determined to rescue him, Greer must find a way to defy Mistaken's curse and brave the cold and pitiless wilderness, but she herself is being hunted, not only by the ruthless Bright-Eyes, but by the hidden truth behind Mistaken's founding and her own origins. It says a deeply atmospheric adult debut by the best-selling author of House of Salt and Sorrows is a stunning celebration of one woman's unrelenting bravery on a quest to reclaim her lost love and seize her own future. I don't know, but the synopsis is just, the synopsis does not draw me in. I find it a bit convoluted. Maybe that's just me, but I'm reading it and it just like kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that could just because maybe it's too early for me. I don't know. I mean, it is 11 o'clock in the morning. So, but that is A Land So Wide by Erin A. Craig. Did I say Erin S. Craig? Erin A. Craig. Okay, the next one is The Hallmarked Man by Robert Galbraith. Now, to be perfectly open, that is a pseudonym for, I can't think of her name, the one that wrote Harry Potter. So, for anybody who isn't interested, you can skip on to the next one. But this is a number 8 in the Cormoran Strike series, and it says a dismembered corpse is discovered in the vault of a silver shop. The police initially believe it to be that of a convicted armed robber, but not everyone agrees with that theory. One of them is Decima Mullins, who calls on the help of private detective Cormoran Strike, as she's certain the body in the silver vault was that of her boyfriend, the father of her newborn baby, who suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. That's all I'm going to read because it's a long synopsis. I do actually think this sounds really interesting. I've never read any of this series, so if I was going to read it, I would probably go back to the beginning. But yeah, I've heard quite a bit about her writing as this pseudonym. So that's that one. Our next one is Framed in Death by J.D. Robb. I believe this is a crime thriller. Yeah, it says it's a brand new crime thriller. Brand new crime thriller starring homicide cop Eve Dallas. Now, it says it's 61 of 62 in death. It says death imitates art. Manhattan is filled with galleries and deep-pocketed collectors who can make an artist's career with a wave of a hand. But one man tolls in obscurity, his brilliance unrecognized, while lesser talents bask in the glory he believes should be his. Come tomorrow, he vows, the city will be buzzing about his work. Indeed, before dawn, Lieutenant Eve Dallas is speeding toward the home of the 2 gallery owners whose doorway has been turned into a horrifying crime scene overnight. A lifeless young woman has been elaborately costumed and precisely posed to resemble the model of a long ago Dutch master, and Dallas plunges into her investigation. I think that sounds really good. I love crime thrillers, so that's kind of right up my alley. But yeah, I thought that one sounded good. Okay, and then our next one is Fearful by Lauren Roberts, and this is in the same world as the other books, the Powerless trilogy, so it's all part of that. This, I think, is a novella. It's only 224 pages. So it's obviously an add-on novella. It says, love too grand, it kills. Mara never intended to set foot in Ilya again, but when the king makes a life-altering decision, her interest is piqued, and Death is determined to understand Kit Azer's mind if he is determined to join in the Moors. Spending time with the king while observing the castle's inhabitants reminds Mara that there is more to life than just death. There is love, but even the purest of intentions spurs revenge and the pursuit of power. And fate will have its way with all of them, to live, to rule, to love, and most certainly to die. So I have no idea where this fits in the story because I have not read the story. I do have Powerless. I think it's up here, right here. That's the only one I have in the collection, and until I read that, I'm not reading any of the other ones because this is a series that has not drawn me in all that much more. So that's how come it's like I'm kind of holding off on where I go with it until I read the first book. Okay, so that was that one, and then the next one is A Spider to the Fly by J.H. Markert. and it's a true crime author helps in a desperate hunt for a killer in this dark and twisted thriller. Perfect for fans of cat and mouse serial killer thrillers like The Butcher and The Rend and The Jigsaw Man. Ellie Isles first became obsessed with the I-64 murders when she saw her own face in one of the victims, identical to every detail. The woman wasn't her, but she could have been. Compelled to discover the story of her doppelganger's death, Ellie wrote a best-selling crime book about the serial killer dubbed The Spider. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna, because I don't want to. I find sometimes from these synopses, especially for thrillers, it's like the further you go in the synopsis, the more it gives it away. So I don't want to say anything more about that. All right, so that's that one. And then the last one for September 2nd is Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McAuley. This, I believe, is a horror. Let me just double check. Yeah, horror parodies and satires, dark humor, ghost horror fiction. So it is under the horror genre because even the cover looks horrific, right? So I'm like, it's got to be a horror. All right, so it says it's Midsummer Night's Scream in this blood-soaked thriller set at a remote healing retreat from horror author Brian McAuley. Hannah has been running from her demons ever since she emerged from a harrowing wilderness trip without her fiancé. No one knows exactly what happened the day Ben died, and Hannah would like to keep it that way, even if his ghost still haunts her with vivid waking nightmares that are ruining her life. So when her friend group gets an exclusive invitation to a restorative spiritual retreat in Joshua Tree, Hannah reluctantly agrees in search of a fresh start. So I'm going to leave it at that. It says it's a horror and it looks like a horror, but the synopsis doesn't sound like a horror. So anyway, so that's the last one for September 2nd. Our next date is September 9th. Okay, so the first one for September 9th is one that I think a lot of people are waiting for, is Wild Card by Elsie Silver. And it says this is the final book in the Rose Hill series. There is actually no synopsis for it. I probably should have checked Goodreads, but I'm not really... I'm not going to do that because I know a lot of people know the series started with, is it Wild Love? Whatever, the first book. I read the first book. I have the second book. I haven't read it yet. I didn't love the first book, but I liked it enough to get the second book. I have not gotten the third book, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So yeah, this one comes out on the 9th of September, and it is Wild Card. All right. Next one is another romance. It's called Picture Perfect by Tessa Bailey. It says it's number 4 of 5 of the Big Shots series. So obviously she intends to write another one to go with this. Now, usually all of these romances are interconnected couple, like standalone. So it's usually in the same world, but each couple is a different couple. Sometimes in some of them you don't have to read them in order. Some of them you do have to read in order. So I don't know because I've never read any of Tessa Bailey's, but I just thought I'd mention that. So again, it's Picture Perfect. And it says Boston Bearcats rookie Robbie Corrigan is living the dream. He's made it to the NHL. His best friend and teammate and fellow orgasm donor is his roomie, and the woman of Boston loved them both. Life is sweet, that is, until he meets Skylar Page, Division I softball pitcher, girl least likely to take anyone's bull, and the one member of the opposite sex immune to his charms. Robbie might be dazzled by the badass pitcher, but Skylar pegs him as a filthy player and wants nothing to do with him. That sounds cute. I mean, It sounds like a basic fluff contemporary romance. Sports romances are really big right now, and I'm not a huge sports romance. I'm reading the series by Liz Tomforty right now, and I do like it, but I'm not huge into sports romances. I'm more of a, I like romantic suspense. This sounds cute for anybody that has read this series and might want to pick this one up. All right, now this next one is, it's called Eldritch by Carrie Lake, and I could not find this on Amazon at all, but it says it's coming out September 9th. So that's like not a little over a month away. So I'm not sure why it's not on Amazon. It says an eldritch magic has awakened, turning the mortal world darker. Oh, it says it's the Eating Woods 2. So I'm assuming it's the second one in a series, but I don't know which one is, what series it's part of. So forgive me for that, but that's because it's not on Amazon. So Amazon usually links all of your series really well. This does have a pretty high rating, but it only has 39 ratings. So not a ton on Goodreads. I find it really weird. Anyway, let me start again with the synopsis. An eldritch magic has awakened, turning the mortal world darker, colder, famished, with flesh-eating monsters and a sinister curse spreading like plague. The last glimmer of humanity in Foxglove Parish has long since faded. For Maeve and Zavander, the only chance of escape is through the Eating Woods, but fate has woven a new web, tangling the threads of destiny and crossing the mystical boundary of Etheria might not be so simple. As the bones of Maeve's past and unearthed and truths are unearthed and truths unravel with unsettling clarity, the possibility of never leaving Mortasia is becoming more of a reality. Unfortunately for Zavander, time is running out. The longer he stays in the mortal lands, depraved of essential vivicantum, the more he succumbs to the encroaching specter of madness. So that's that one. Now, I haven't read any of her books, so I can't comment on whether I think this will be good or not, but it sounds like a fantasy romance type book. Okay, so the next one is Hot Wax by M.L. Rio, and this one is suspense women's fiction. It says, summer 1989, 10-year-old Suzanne is drawn like a magnet to her father's forbidden world of electric guitars and tricked-out cars. When her mother remarries, she jumps at the chance to tag along on the concert tour that just might be Gil and the Kills' wild ride to glory, but fame has sharper fangs than anybody realized, and as the band blazes up the charts, internal power struggles set Gil and his group on a collision course destined to a bloody reckoning, one shrouded in mystery and lore for decades to come. That sounds interesting. I've never read anything by this author. I know they have quite a few books out, but I haven't read anything. But this one certainly sounds interesting to me. Okay, so then our next one for the 9th is one that actually does interest me, is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I've read one of her books before, thoroughly loved it. Such Sharp Teeth, I think it was, that I read. Really enjoyed that one. So this one is Clare Barnes leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer, but beneath the glossy veneer, she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted, possessed. After Cleo's parents' messy divorce, her mother Alex moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon. Or so Alex claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember or what the courts determined when they stripped her of custody after she went off the deep end. But Alex was insistent. She even wrote a book about her experience in the house. After Alex's sudden death, the supposed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Cleo sees an opportunity for house flipping content. Only as the house makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there might be some truth to her mother's claims. Yeah, that sounds good. Right up my alley. Love it. I would say that one's going to go on my TBR. More than likely going to go on my TBR. All right. The last one for September 9th is The Secret of Secrets. And this is the 6th book in the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown. I absolutely love the Robert Langdon series. That's the one that's Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code, all that. I mean, I love these books. So I would probably more than likely pick this up, but I have only read the first two, which is Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code. I actually just bought Angels and Demons to reread that one. So, yeah, I would want to literally read the whole batch before I got to this one, but I love his books. So, Robert Langdon, esteemed professor of symbology, travels to Prague to attend a groundbreaking lecture by Catherine Solomon, a prominent noetic scientist with whom he has recently begun a relationship. Catherine is on the verge of publishing an explosive book that contains startling discoveries about the nature of human consciousness and threatens to disrupt centuries of established belief. But a brutal murder catapults the trip into chaos, and Catherine suddenly disappears along with her manuscript. Langdon finds himself targeted by a powerful organization and hunted by a chilling assassin sprung from Prague's most ancient mythology. As the plot expands into London and New York, Langdon desperately searches for Catherine and for answers. I think that sounds good. His books are always good, so another good one to add to the TBR. All right, so that's it for September 9th. Now we're going to move on to September 16th releases. Okay, so we don't have too many for the 16th of September. We have 4. They all sound good. First one is The Academy and is by Elin Hildebrand and her daughter Shelby Cunningham. So it's a duo, writing duo in this one. And I have never read any of Elin Hildebrand's, so says it's a move-in day at Tiffin Academy, and amidst the happy chaos of friends reuniting, selfies uploading, and cars unloading, shocking news arrives. America Today just ranked Tiffin the number 2 boarding school in the country. It's a 17-spot jump. Was there a typo? The dorms needed to be renovated. Their sports team always comes in last place. And let's just say Tiffin students are known for being more social than academic. On the other hand, the campus is exquisite, class sizes are small, and the dining hall is run by an acclaimed New York chef. And they do have fun. Lots of parties and school dances, and a piano man plays in the student lounge every Monday night. But just as the rarefied air of Tiffin is suffused with self-congratulation, the wheels begin to turn, and then they fall off the bus. One by one, scandalous blind items begin to appear on phones across Tiffin's campus thanks to a new app called ZipZap. And nobody is safe, from Davy Banerjee, international influencer and resident queen bee, to Simone Bergeron, the new and surprisingly young history teacher, to Charlie Hicks, a transfer student who seems determined not to fit in, to Cordelia Spooner, admissions director with a somewhat idiosyncratic methodology. Everyone has something to hide. Interesting. What is this rated under? Coming of age, domestic life, family life. That's it for me. No more to say there. It doesn't interest me, but it does sound okay. So, not something I'd pick up though. Next one is Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha. Shannon. Now, I wrote down that this is a prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree. Without the awakening of fire-breathing dragons, Among Burning Flowers sees the first sparks of danger that threaten to consume the world in Priory of the Orange Tree. Take your first steps into the epic. Escalon, land of sunshine and lavender, will soon be ablaze. It has been centuries since the draconic army took wing, almost extinguishing humankind. Morosa Vitalda is a prisoner in her own home, controlled by her cold father, King Segosa. Over the mountains, her betrothed rules Mentendon in all but name. Together, they intend to usher in a better world. A better world seems impossibly distant to Astina. I'm not going to say that these names are like convoluted. Who hunts the draconic beasts that have slept across the world for centuries. And now the great worm is stirring, and Escalon will be the first to fall. You know, these names are ridiculous to pronounce. It's all okay when you're reading them, like just, reading them. You make up whatever it's, but they make no sense, the names. So anyway, that's that one. Next one is Other People's Houses by Clare Mackintosh. This is the third book in the DC Morgan detective series, and I read this as an arc, and I liked this book. So it says you want what they have, but what price would you pay? I should say I reviewed this in, I think it's June. If you want to go back, you can see my review of this book. The Hill is the kind of place everyone wants to live, luxurious, exclusive, and safe. But now someone is breaking and entering these Cheshire homes one by one, and D.S. Leo Brady suspects the burglar is looking for something or someone in particular. Over the border in Wales, D.C. Fionn Morgan recovers the body of an estate agent from the lake. There's no love lost between Fionn and estate agents, but who hated this one enough to want her dead, and why? And then the cases collide. It says a little more than that, but the cases collide, and then it's really good from there. I quite like this one. So, and then the last one for September 16th is the Gingerbread Bakery, which is the fifth book in the Dream Harbor series by Laurie Gilmore, which starts with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I believe, is the first one. And it says just the tropes are enemies to lovers, found family, small town, forced proximity. So this is, as owner of the beloved Gingerbread Bakery, Annie Adams should have a love life to match her business, sugary and sweet, but instead she's locked in a game of words with the irritatingly upbeat bar owner down the street. Max Sullivan has everything he wants except the girl of his dreams. It's easier to argue with Annie than to get her to talk to him. But with Jeannie and Logan's wedding coming up, they're about to spend a lot more time together as the snowflakes fall, and with romance in the air, will Annie see that the one she loves to hate might just be her perfect match after all. So this is like a cozy romance. So that's it for September 16th, and our next release date is September 23rd, and I have a huge batch for that date. We have quite a lot to get through for September 23rd, so let's get started. The first book I have is The Primal of Blood and Bone, and this is book 6 in the Blood and Ash series from Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now, I have not read any of this series before, so I actually don't want to read the synopsis because a lot of people are waiting for this series, and a lot of people might not want to know what the synopsis says, because that tends to be the case when you're following along series, and I believe this is a continuous series, not interconnected. So I'm not going to read the synopsis for this one, but again, this is coming out on the 23rd of September. Okay, so then the next one is The Tourist Season by Bryn Weaver. So this is a new series for her, and it says, welcome to Cape Carnage. Visit once, stay forever. You can hide in the farthest reaches of deepest hell, and I will still drag you out. Even the devil can't save you from me. Cape Carnage is a seaside town of colorful houses, quirky shops, and an unusually high body count. With tourists comes trouble, and Harper Starling won't let anyone ruin her picture-perfect home. A skilled gardener with killer instincts, Harper protects her sanctuary and her aging mentor with a fading memory at any cost. Troublesome tourists don't check out of Carnage. They compost beneath Harper's award-winning flower beds. But Nolan Rhodes isn't your average tourist. Devilishly handsome, disarmingly charming, and skilled with a blade, Nolan is relentless in his pursuit of revenge. On every anniversary of the hit-and-run accident that fractured his life, Nolan slays another target, and he saved the best for last, the undeniably beautiful Harper Starling. The problem, Harper isn't the monster he expected, and she won't go down without a fight. Okay, that's it for that one. That one sounds good. I have not pre-ordered this one, though. Yeah, it says the hardcover is the only thing that's available at this point. And personally, I'd rather have it in paperback. So I will wait for the paperback on that one. Then the next one is What Fury Brings by Tricia Levenseller. And I believe this is not part of any other series. So there's shortage of men in the kingdom of Amara. After a failed rebellion against the matriarchy, most noblemen in the country are dead. Now the women of Amara must obtain their husbands, should they want one, by kidnapping them from other kingdoms. Oh, God. Okay, hunky, just give me a minute. I don't think this is supposed to be funny. I just find that funny. Alara, a warrior princess vying for the throne, is determined to prove her worth by kidnapping a husband, and not just any husband. To outmaneuver her treacherous cousin, she needs the best. Fortunately, the second-born prince of their greatest enemy is widely known for both his looks and his sweet, docile temperament. He's the perfect choice to secure her claim to the throne. Sanos, heir to the kingdom of Brutus, has nothing but contempt for the idea of a society run by women. Trained from birth to fight, lead, and follow in his father's overbearing footsteps, his path has always been set, until he takes his younger brother's place in a drunken prank and finds himself kidnapped, carted off to the Amaran palace, and informed that he is to become the husband of Queen potential Alara. Sanos needs to escape before anyone learns his real identity, but the more he gets to know his captor, the less he's sure what he truly wants. That, I mean, it sounds fun. It does sound comical, right? I'm just looking to see. Like, it doesn't say, it just says romantic, fantasy, ghost romance, future. Yeah, but that sounds funny. Anyway, it actually sounds like a lot of fun. The whole book sounds like a lot of fun. So I might well pick that one up when it comes out in paperback. Right now, it's just available on the 23rd. They're just indicating hardcover. So, all right. Next one we have is Thief of Night, which is the Charlatan Duology Book 2 from Holly Black. I didn't read the first one. This one's pretty short. It's only 288 pages. The highly anticipated sequel to the #1 New York Times bestselling author Holly Black's stunning adult debut, Book of Night. So if anyone has read Book of Night, this one is the continuation. I'm not going to read. There actually isn't much of a synopsis anyway. But I'm not going to read it. If you've read the first one, you'll know what's coming in the second one. With Holly Black's, you have to read the first one first. So, Next one is We Love You, Bunny by Mona Awad. And this is a follow-up to her first book, Bunny. I have not read that. Highly anticipated follow-up to the viral sensation Bunny, a brilliantly written, laugh-out-loud, funny, dark, and delirious novel set in the Bunny-verse. Okay. In the cult classic novel Bunny, Samantha Heather McKay, a lonely outsider student at a highly selective MFA program in New England, was first ostracized and then seduced by a clique of creepy, sweet, rich girls who call themselves Bunny. An invitation to the Bunny Smut Salon leads Samantha down a dark rabbit hole, pun intended, into the violently surreal world of their off-campus workshops where monstrous creations are conjured with deadly and wondrous consequences. Okay, so I'm not going to read any more of that because, again, this sounds like it is a sort of a sequel, and I think you have to obviously read Bunny before you can read We Love You, Bunny. I just have to say, the cover creeps me out. Like the cover from Bunny, as I recall it, I thought it was an ugly cover, but pretty plain. This is a little creepy. There's no blood or anything like that. It's just a little bit creepy. Anyway, next one, I think a lot of people have been waiting for this, and that is Alchemized by Sin Lin Yu, I think is how it's pronounced, Sin Lin Yu. And this is from, it's a riveting dark fantasy debut, a woman with missing memories flights to survive a war-torn world of necromancy and alchemy, and the man tasked with unearthing the darkest secrets of her past. So I think this comes from fan fiction. I don't read fan fiction, but I think this comes from fan fiction. I'm not going to read the whole synopsis. It's actually really long. And from what I understand, the book's pretty long too. Yeah, it says it's 1,040 pages, which is insane. Anyway, so that's one that I know quite a few people are looking forward to, and that's coming September 23rd. Okay, then the next one after that is another sequel. It is A Steeping of Blood, and this is the second book in the Blood and Tea series. And Arthi Casimir has had her tea. Now she's out for blood. So I didn't read the first book. I can't remember what the name of the first book was. Let me see. First book was A Tempest of Tea, so I did not read that, but this one is clearly the sequel to it, so I'm not going to write any more on that one. Spellcaster by Jamin Eve. It says, welcome to Weatherstone College. I think, what is this? Is this a fantasy? Hang on one second, I'm just going to scroll down. It's way down here. Dark fantasy, horror fiction, dragons and mythical creatures, new adult and college romance. That actually says quite a lot, which I think is great. Perfect if you love Who Hurt You, slow burn enemies to lovers, elemental magic, dark academia, fuck it moments, consent is sexy. So clearly there is quite a bit of spice, potentially, in this one, and it says, welcome to Weatherstone College. Don't walk the halls late at night. Don't disturb the ancient magic. And don't, under any circumstances, ever trust a spellcaster. I actually think that sounds pretty good. I don't know. Anyway, what do I know? You know? I wait for reviews. I wait to hear the reviews, and then based on whatever the reviews say, then I'll think about whether or not I want to pick up the book. Okay, so the next one is A Killer Wedding by Joan O'Leary. I can't read today. I can never read on it. Only when I have the book and I'm actually reading, but when I have to talk and read, I can't. It's hard to do two things at the same time. You know, it's like walking and chewing gum, right? Kind of like that, yeah. Anyway, so The Riptons are American family, royalty, wealthy, powerful, and bound by secrets. When they gather at a grand Irish castle for the society wedding of the year, as the ceremony unfolds, something far more sinister lurks beneath the glamour. Christine can't believe her luck. The iconic Beaufort, founder of the billion-dollar beauty empire Glow, has personally chosen her to cover her grandson's wedding for Bespoke, the cult fashion magazine that every A-list bride dreams of being featured. A career-making scoop and a free trip to a castle turned five-star hotel on the Emerald Isle. It feels too good to be true, because it is. Someone is found dead. Yeah, all that wonderful stuff. So obviously this is a thriller, mystery, murder, just up my alley. Just the kind of book I like. Don't know. It doesn't say good things about me, right? Yeah. Next one is Ladies in Hiding by Alexandra Vasti. And it is, yeah, it's LGBTQ2S plus history and lesbian romance. A pair of Gothic novelists trade rivalry for the love in the swoony, steamy Sapphic Regency. And celebrated authoress Lady Georgina Cleave has achieved fame and fortune. Unfortunately, she also acquired an enemy, the enigmatic Lady Darling, whose spine-tingling plots appear to be pulled straight from Georgiana's, it's Georgiana, I feel like so complicated, own manuscripts. What's a stubborn, steely writer to do? Unmask her rival, of course. Anyways, I think the cover's cute. I thought the cover was really attractive. And I thought that one sounded like fun. So our next one is Road Trip with a Vampire by Jenna Levine. So this is the third book in this series. It's Roommate with a Vampire. And I can't remember what the second one. I read My Roommate is a Vampire. I read that, really liked it. And I've bought the second one. I haven't read that, right? So this is the third one. Now they're only connected by the content that the guys are vampires. But I think you could read them out of order if you wanted to. It says, a vampire can't remember his past, and a witch with secrets of her own hit the road in this zany cross-country romantic comedy. Reformed bad witch Zelda Watson had hoped to never see another vampire again when she slipped away to sunny California for a fresh start. She'd grown tired of them and their nonsense ages ago. But when a vampire with amnesia unexpectedly shows up on her doorstep with a letter from her old friend Reggie, now Reggie is in both of the two previous books, and asks for help, she can't say no. Of course, it doesn't hurt that Peter Elliott is tall and gorgeous, looks great in yoga shorts, and has kind of dark hair and surly expression Zelda's been a sucker for hundreds of years. So I have pre-ordered this one. They all come in paperback, so I mean, but this sounds like a hoot and zany. And the first book I thought was exactly that, and I enjoy those sorts of reads. Always the kind of reads that just kind of can pull you out of a slump, can make you laugh. Always happy with something like that. The next one is one that I also have pre-ordered because it's the 7th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, This Inevitable Ruin. And in this book, they've reached the 9th floor. And the 9th floor, I don't know if anybody's made it past the 9th floor. The 9th floor is rough, okay? And I think it's all out war. It says they call it Faction Wars, the 9th floor. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I've ordered this one. Like I said, I've pre-ordered it. And, oh my God, I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. Enough said. That's it for me, for that one. I can't read the synopsis, because unless you read Dungeon Crawler Carl and you follow it from the beginning, the synopsis is going to right over your head, you know? So no point in reading it. The next one is also one that I have pre-ordered. It is A Tour to Die For, a serial killer guide to San Francisco murder. So the first book was called A Serial Killer Guide to San Francisco, and I read that one and I loved it. It is a murder mystery investigative type book. Really enjoyed the first one, so I have pre-ordered this one. This is a separate case, so I can read the synopsis for you. It says Capri Senzio is back giving a true crime tour. So she's a tour guide. I reviewed it either last month or the month before. I think I might have read it in May, and it would have been on my review list. She gives her guests a tour that they won't soon forget. After all, a tour guide who specializes in serial killers knows better than most that San Francisco is a city with a killer charm. So the whole thing is based in San Francisco. Caprio Sanzio knows that when you give serial killer walking tours for a living, unexpected situations are more common than San Francisco's famous fog. So when one of her guests claims to see a woman being attacked during a tour, Capri remains unfazed. The police search the apartment in question and find no evidence of anything amiss, so they chalk it up to a false report from a true crime fanatic looking to be a part of a case. And Capri thinks they might be right, since lately her tours have been attracting even more obsessive than usual. As it turns out, finding the actual serial killer who committed the Overkill Bill murders didn't stop the constant questions about her grandfather's supposed crimes. It only intensified them. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this one. I think it sounds great. All right, so that is actually it for what we have available for the 23rd. So now we are moving on to September 30th as our final release date. So we're going to start our last batch with one that I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for, which is the new one from Lila Sage, Soul Searching, a Sweetwater Peak novel. I think her previous batch of novels, Lost and Lassoed, I think, was it? I didn't read it, so, but this one's brand new, and it says Collins Cartwright does not want to go home. Sweetwater Peak, Wyoming was supposed to be in her rearview mirror, but when she finds out a developer is trying to buy her parents' antique shop out from under them, she doesn't have a choice. At least that's what she tells her family. They don't need to know she's lost her job and is out of money, or that the ghosts who have always been her companions have recently gone silent. But just because she's returned home doesn't mean she has to stay with her parents or crash on her twin sister's couch. Lucky for her, the new-to-town upholsterer has a room for rent above his store. Unluckily, it is absolutely crawling with more ghosts who are freezing her out, and Collins hates being ignored. Brady Cooper is absolutely and totally fine. Seriously, there's no secret reason why he decided to uproot his life and suddenly moved to Sweetwater Peak. He just needed to change pace. At least that's what he tells himself and everyone else. When he agrees to let the elusive Collins Cartwright stay in his spare room, he doesn't know that she's absolutely bonkers, constantly talking to herself and having conversations with no one, or that she looked like that. But as they begin to get closer, the lines between them start to blur, leaving both of them and the ghosts who have been pushing them together wondering whether their temporary arrangement could be something more permanent. Ghosts. Okay. It actually sounds good. It sounds pretty funny, because you would think somebody was wacky if they were talking to themselves, talking to ghosts. Anyway, that's the first one on the list. Next one on the list is The Impossible Fortune by Richard Osman. It is the 5th book in the Thursday Murder Club mystery series, the unmissable new mystery in the Thursday Murder Club. Who's got time to think about murder when there's a wedding to plan? It's been quite a year for the Thursday Murder Club. Joyce is busy with table plans and first dances. Elizabeth is grieving. Ron is dealing with family troubles. And Abraham is still providing therapy to his new favorite criminal. But when Elizabeth meets Nick, a wedding guest, asking for her help, she finds the thrill of the chase is ignited once again. Anyway, I'm not going to read any more than that. I think you have to go and you have to start at the beginning because you have to follow these characters through the entire series. I do find that some series are like that. Like, you know, some of the detective and investigative series that I follow, you benefit from reading from the beginning. You don't have to read from the beginning, but you benefit from it because of the development of the character relationships between all of these people. If you don't read from the start, you could be a bit lost. Anyway, that's that one. Next one is called Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. It is a romance. It says, growing up, Dani couldn't help but follow around the adorable son of her mom's best friend. Funny, kind of nerdy, and a little soft. Alec was always down to hang with Dani when they were little. From playdates on the playground to sneaking into movie theaters, Dani and Alec were inseparable. Until Dani moved away, Alec promised they'd stay in touch, except they didn't. So then, of course, it fast forward. Dani is back in Minnesota for her senior year. She and her mom living with her grandfather, dealing with the fallout of her parents' devastating divorce. Dani wouldn't mind a nerd out with the cozy and comforting Alex, but teenage Alex is nothing like the kid Dani remembers. He's a hockey star in a town where hockey players are worshipped as gods. So, another sports romance. We've got an epidemic of sports romances, it would seem. I've never read anything by Lynn Painter, but obviously it's new. And it's not saying it's part of any series or that it's part of a beginning series or anything like that. So I don't know if it is a standalone. That's that one. Next one on the list is Every Spiral of Fate by Tahira Mafi. This is the 4th book in the Woven Kingdom series. This is the final one, maybe. I don't know for sure, but it says 4 of 4. So, highly anticipated 4th novel in the Woven Kingdom Romantasy series. Again, I don't want to read the synopsis. If I read the synopsis, because it is an ongoing story, I don't think it's a good idea to read the synopsis. It just says, brimming with fiery romance, spectacular magic, and breathtaking secrets. The cover is absolutely beautiful. All right. Next one that is up is the October film Haunt. So this is, I believe, a horror. Let me just double check. It doesn't actually, ghost thriller, psychological thriller. It says 10 years ago, Jory Strode was the rising star of the October film Haunt, a trio of horror enthusiasts who camped out at the filming locations of their favorite scary movies, sharing their love through their popular blog. But after a night in the graveyard from Proof of Demons, perhaps the most chilling cult film ever made, directed by the enigmatic Helena Enriquez, everything unraveled. Now Jory has built an isolated life with her young son in Vermont. In the devastating wake of her viral, truth-stretching Proof of Demons blog entry, hysteria, internet backlash, and the death of a young woman, Jory has put it all, along with her intense love for the horror genre, behind her. Until a videotape arrives in the mail, Jory fears someone might be filming her, and the Ricky's Enriquez obsessives, who would do anything for the reclusive director, begin to cross lines in shocking ways. Sounds good. Yeah, sounds like something that I might look into. It is It's September 30th, so maybe we'll get lucky and it will appear on either Aardvark or Book of the Month, because it's listed at $21.99 for Kindle, just the Kindle. So I wouldn't pick it up that way. But being that it is September 30th and it is the end of the month, it could potentially show up on one of those two, which would be kind of cool. I'd like to see how many that I actually talk about do appear on one of those two, Book of the Month and Aardvark. All right, enough of that. Let's go on from here. We have The Sleepless by Jen Williams. This says 1 of 1, so I don't know if it's going to be a series or not, but I mean, I think most of her books are. I have the Ninth Reign series, that series. I haven't read that one yet either, but I've heard very good things about it. So it says God Killer meets Powerless in this epic gods and monsters romantic fantasy from British award-winning author Jen Williams. Welcome to a world where gods and monsters roam the earth. Elver is the guardian of the wild and dangerous monster forest. Saved from the brink of death by a god, her skin will poison anyone she touches. Arter is on a mission, one that takes him face to face with Elver at her most ruthless. But her defenses are useless when she discovers he's the only human impervious to her deadly gift. For Arter isn't human. He's one of the sleepless, cursed to share his body with an evil spirit. Oh, that sounds interesting. I actually think that sounds really good. It says it is fantasy romance for young adults, so it's young adult, folktales and myths, sagas, and epics for young adults, fantasy for young adults. So it is a YA. Then we have Holly, which is part of the Belladonna series by Adeline Grace. It is to be read last from the looks of it. And it's 384 pages, so it is a full novel. It features special end papers, and yeah, you can get it as a special edition. It's a mysterious and magical holiday novella. It says it's a novella, but it's 384 pages. So that to me is not a novella. A novella is like 150 pages, but it looks like a beautiful book. And yeah, I do have the entire Belladonna series. So next one is one I have pre-ordered, which is What Stalks the Deep by T. Fisher. It's the third book in the Sworn Soldier series, and I did read the previous two. You do have to read the previous two to understand what is happening in this. However, they are standalone kind of ghost horror thriller type books. So you're just the characters. This is to follow the characters. So I will read the short. It's a very short synopsis. It says it's featuring Alex Easton investigating the dark, mysterious depths of a coal mine in America. Alex Easton does not want to visit America. They particularly do not want to visit an abandoned coal mine in West Virginia with a reputation for being haunted. But when their dear old friend Dr. Denton appears in the first book, summons them to help find his lost cousin who went missing in that very mine, well, sometimes a sworn soldier has to do what a sworn soldier has to do. So I did pick up this one because I did enjoy the first two books, so had to pick up the third one, continue the series. It's not long. Each of the books is like 150 to 200 pages. This one says 192 pages, so they're never really super long. And then the very last book, that is a September 30th, and I bring this one forward because this is one of my favorite romantic suspense authors, Brittany Sahin, and she has a new series coming out, and this is the first book called Against All Odds in the Delta Shield Security series. Typically her series are 5 books, but the last one that she did was 7 books. So could be longer than that. An undercover operative must choose between his mission and the woman who could be his downfall in this passionate romantic suspense. Rescuing Serafina Torres wasn't part of Delta Shield Security's plan until an undercover operation gone sideways changed that. But as quickly as this beautiful, mysterious woman enters Ryder Lawson's life, she disappears. His team's new mission is simple: track Serafina down and turn her over to the government. But from the moment they find her, nothing goes according to plan, because Serafina isn't just running, she's hunting. And she refuses to let anyone stand in the way of her revenge, not even Ryder. But when a deadly conspiracy pulls them both into the crosshairs, their only chance for survival is working together. From Mexico to Costa Rica, they navigate a treacherous world of cartel warfare, corruption, and unlikely allies, including a reformed drug runner with an underground fight club and old friends with questionable loyalties. Trusting the wrong person could get them killed, and trusting each other might be even more dangerous. But the deeper they go, the stronger the fire between them burns, and sooner it's not just their lives at stake, but their hearts. This sounds really good. I love all her books, so I enjoy it. It says 367 pages, which is actually pretty short. I mean, a lot of her books can be considerably, I'd say closer to 450, 500. So 367 is a good one, and I have pre-ordered this paperback for sure, 100%. Now, I am on her art team, but typically we get them about a month before, so I might not hear anything until closer to the end of August on getting this ahead of time. Yeah, I do like to read because I do like to give my feedback ahead of time for her, but I always like to purchase the paperback to support her as an author. And that is it for our September releases. I need more coffee. Definitely thirsty. Love my coffee. That's why it's coffee, cookies, and books, right? Okay, so that's it for this video. I am currently working on the first video for our deep dive series, and that will probably be the next one that you'll see, and that's going to be for We Used to Live Here and This Book Will Bury Me. Be sure to watch that video if you want to follow along and read with me to do this fun deep dive. Okay, that's it for today, and we'll see you in the next video, I hope.